this age, right? All I knew was that God said do X, and I did X. Then do Y, and I did Y. And he will lead you to that place. What a lot of folks, sometimes when you kind of know what you're good at and you know where you're called, that actually sometimes can throw you off because you miss sight of the process. And a lot of times, people will jump into their purpose but skip the process that God is trying to take them through.
Say that again. So I love it. Skip the process,
trying to get to your purpose. So you sing really well, so you're like, that's my calling, that's my purpose. But God is like, well, I need you to actually work over here at whatever, a flea market, something that seems so far away from your purpose, but there's a process that he's taking you through over there,
and it might be a character thing that he's trying to.
It usually is. Because we're I wasn't ready for where I am now. Back when I started, I wasn't ready for the income. I wasn't ready for the freedom that I have. I wasn't ready for that. I wanted it, but I wasn't ready for it. And so I had to go through that process, but it's about being faithful over a few things. You stay faithful over those little things. And it goes back, like we talked about earlier, about your job. How you doing on your job? You want a business, but you're not showing up to work on time. Why would God bless your business when you're not being a blessing to your employer where you are? You're not following. So how you gonna lead? It's being faithful over the small things, over the little things, because that's part of the process. And I think if we understand that, then you won't have a hard time finding your purpose, because God will he knows your purpose. Yes. He's just trying to get you to go there.
Talk about, as we transition, it sounds like you and your wife Victoria have a heart for giving, and when we read,
no, we don't. I don't really. I don't have a heart for giving.
What do you have a heart for?
This guy. No, I really want to say that, because it's not like I always thought, I want to be a giver. No, what I do have a heart for is I have a heart for family, for men, in particular. Being the leaders that they're called to be. I really have a heart for that. Victoria and I do have a heart for families. We see the family being under attack, and that's why we do, the vacation ministry and where we give. But also, I think you were going into
the CFAA.
Yeah, we call it CFA. So if I say CFA, it's CFAA, but it stands for Christian Family Adoption Aid.
Okay, and talk about that. Like, how did that start? And
It started by us watching a couple in our small group go through the process of adoption.
Okay.
And as a business person, I looked at this industry of adoption, and I was put off by it, to be honest. And what I looked at it was that this is a business, but these are babies, right? And so I'm like, well, where's the church in this process? And the church, in our case, in my church, wasn't part of the process. Now, as I looked more into the whole industry, it's all about the money. What makes it hard for children to be adopted is the finances in most cases. I won't get into everything, but what I realize is that, every church talks about being pro-life. I had never heard of a church that wasn't pro-life. But yet, what are they doing about the lives that aren't being aborted? These lives are going into, we don't have orphanages so much in America, but we have a foster system, right? That's overflowing, and that young people are aging out of. So,
and it's broken,
and very much.
Yes.
So. Yes. So I was looking at this whole area, and I said, well, what can we do to help Christian couples adopt children? We're not going to change the system. Let's just get the money to them. And so what I wanted to do, from my perspective with Christian Family Adoption Aid, was create a safe place that where a church, if they didn't have a formal method of helping families adopt, they would have a place where they can say, okay, we can put our money into an organization, and all of that money is going to helping babies get home to their forever families. And so we wanted to create a safe place for a church in particular, in businesses, but even when individuals donate to CFA, what we call it, CFAA, when individuals donate, 100% of donation goes out to adopting kids out to Christian families. And so Christian Family Adoption Aid was created. It started about, was it 5 years? Yeah, 5 years ago.
Okay.
And
how many families so far?
And we have, give me a number. I'm looking at my wife. About 10 families. Wow. Where we have helped fund their adoptions. All of them, all the families, they adopt from anywhere around the world, but all the families are, out of Georgia.
Georgia right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's our basic efforts. The second part of CFA is to introduce people to missions. So we go over to a community in Jamaica. My wife sits on the board of an orphanage called Robin's Nest, and it's in a Salters Hill community in the hills of Jamaica. But we've moved out of just serving Robin's Nest Orphanage or Robin's Nest Children's Home, and we serve the community of Salters Hill. And so we go over there every year, a couple of times a year, and we're serving that community and trying to bring them hope. And so that we bring a mission team over there, and it's just to really introduce people to missions in other areas. And so that's like the second arm is doing the missions. The first arm is doing the adoption grants. And
wow, I've never been to Jamaica, so that might be something we want to look at next year, man.
I've been to Jamaica before.
You haven't been to this Jamaica?
This dude.
Yeah. We definitely need some men, though.
Oh, yeah. I would love to go. Mentors. Why are mentors so important in business?
Important because, you can learn from someone else's experience. It was a rapper that said the experience is the teacher of fools in one of his songs.
I don't know.
I think it was
like The Truth or somebody said that. But I like that. He was probably repeating something else. But experience is the teacher of fools. And the Bible given us, is where we don't have to learn everything the hard way, right? But same thing with business. And having a mentor, you can. If you get the right type of mentor that can direct you and lead you, it can keep you from making some pretty costly mistakes, and so that's why.
I think that's why the King's Ministry is around, and just to be that arm for people who might make some crazy mistakes.
Well, yeah, and also to sharpen one another.
Okay.
Iron sharpens iron,
and network too.
And networking is a small portion of it, but more importantly, it's just about us gleaning from one another. Like you said, and creating these mentor type of opportunities. But definitely growing. I've grown a lot since I've been part of it.
I like the accountability part because, and these men are very reachable and obtainable. Like, you think sometimes you get a little intimidated because these men are, you look at them as powerful because they have money. But what I love about the King's Ministry is that if you reach out, they will talk to you. They will meet with you. They will, give you some stuff to take away to help you in life and in business.
I remember you called me. You said you was going to meet with Bobby one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then next thing you know, it was like a couple hours later or something, because y'all had just a great conversation. So he poured into you. So that's
and I talked to Court this week. Okay. Court, his crazy stuff. Court, listening, I love you, man. But Court off the chain. But Court as well, man. Court, successful in business, and me and him talk all the time. So these people, like you said, iron sharpens iron, It's accountability, and it's just people pouring into you and leading you as you trying to grow your business and how you try to conduct yourself and be that Christian in your business where you're trying to represent God the right way. So,
yeah. And I think that's where this week I met with Pastor Olin at church, and he sat down with me and he talked about mentorship and stuff like that, because in my business currently, I'm not making the funds that I want to make.
Right.
And he asked me, he said, "Where's your mentor in this area in your business?" And I was like, "Well, I have this and this, but I don't have a mentor in that." And he challenged me in that area. And the thing is that I want to do more speaking engagements. I want to, I love to write, and I love to speak on what I write. And David gets it most mornings. I was like, "Man, I was in the Word, bro. I got something for you. But he challenged me on that, and I think it's very important. And I was mentioning earlier on the radio that we need to get out of our comfort zone with some of the people that we usually talk to, because they see you and you'll tell them something, but they really not challenging you. And so you have to go up with different people in different levels where they'll ask you a different question than your regular conversation.
I'm a little unorthodox in this area, but the best mentor is the Holy Spirit. And really, I just had a conversation with a mentee this past week who really is in a bind, but he had found another mentor, and he was saying last year that mentor kind of went AWOL on him when he needed him most.
Wow.
And, I came up through my experience was that God was like, "I got you." Because I think I shared that I went through a season in my early years where I was kind of bitter. And because I was around a lot of successful men in the country club, but none of them saw my potential. And I was like, man, none of these guys are reaching out to me and going, "Hey, let me see what you're doing." And, you're trying to get your business going. And I got bitter about that, but God was like, "No,
I get you.
You come to me."
Wow.
And, that's been, I can't even explain to you. And how little I knew about business going in, and how little experience. I'd never sat even on a conference call. I never saw a proposal. I never saw a presentation. And then here I go into this business where I'm going into these corporate settings and pitching.
Wow. That's God.
Yeah. You need favor. Yeah. You need favor.
Well, it looks like you have everything. All the numbers are right. Really?
All right.
Just made this last night. Well, man, I feel like there's so much more we could talk about, but we have to transition. Unfortunately, I think, this ain't the last time. We're going to have you on again.
You got to come back.
Yeah, you definitely have to come back.
Nuggets like that and just leave.
But we are getting into Without Excuse. And let me tell everybody, if you're just now listening to Midnight Breakfast, this is our staple basically on what we do and why we do this. Like each and every show, we say we're going to tell the gospel of Jesus Christ. And what that means is we don't let a show go by without preaching Jesus. Simple and plain as that. We do not let a show go by where there's a listener out there that may not know Christ and he's hearing the gospel message for the first time. And we were just having a great interview with Bobby Malone, and just everything that he's doing in business and entrepreneurship, how he got started, and also the ministries that he does as well outside of ministry. And we have to transition into from that, but we're getting into Without Excuse. And this is just as important, more important than talking about business, because there's somebody right now, we get emails, we get, people telling us that, hey, they listen to us from Africa, or hey, we're listening in Europe. That's what our show heads tell us. And so there may be somebody out there around the world right now that has not heard the gospel of Jesus Christ. So Bobby, if you will, please tell the gospel message.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, Man, you know, I've never had an opportunity to share the gospel in a setting like this, but